You found the podcast, Go Beyond the Brief, where we take a deep dive into the societal currents shaping our lives. Together, we'll explore the often unseen forces at play. We'll examine the research, dissect the data, and most importantly, if you're seeking to understand what's shaping our society, this is the place.
We are unpacking the shocking June 2023 lawsuit filed by the City of Hayward against Alameda County.
Yeah, a lawsuit that exposed conditions inside a facility that was, meant to be a refuge.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to pull out the most critical nuggets from that legal complaint and all the supporting documents. We want to understand the timeline of the collapse, the policies that allegedly allowed this exploitation to happen.
And the specific legal arguments Hayward used to try and force the courts to step in immediately.
So to start, can you just set the context for us? What exactly is this facility?
Sure. So we're focusing on the Alameda County Children's Assessment Center. Most people just call it the AC. It's located in Hayward, and it's not a permanent home for these kids. It's a transitional facility, a confidential receiving center for children who are just entering foster care or maybe moving between placement.
And what age range are we talking about here?
It's birth all the way up to 21 years old, including those in extended foster care. Conceptually, it should be the safest place for a child who's just been removed from a dangerous situation.
And it sounds like it's a busy place.
Oh, it's a very high-volume operation. They serve between 80 and 150 clients every single month.
Wow. And the lawsuit itself, who was it filed against? Who are the defendants?
Hayward's lawsuit was very targeted. It named three main groups. First, and most obviously, the County of Alameda.
Right. They have the ultimate responsibility.
Exactly. They operate the AC through their social services agency. Second, they named West Coast Children's Clinic, which is the nonprofit contracted to handle the day-to-day operations.
And the third?
The property owner, a company called Wolf Investment Company, LLC.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core claim here, it's not just, poor management. It's incredibly severe. The city alleges deliberate indifference and failure to act or intervene by the county. That phrase alone, deliberate indifference, it just carries so much weight in civil law.
It really does.
And the complaint says this failure led directly to foster kids being exposed to and even coerced into drug use, violence, and, the most horrifying part, sex trafficking.
All while they were supposed to be in the county's immediate care. And that phrase, deliberate indifference, is key. It suggests the county knew, or at least they should have known, about the risks, and they just failed to act.
And the complaint also connects this to a previous tragedy, right? The death of Sophia Mason.
Yes, it explicitly referenced the mishandling of at-risk children that came to light after the tragic death of 8-year-old Sophia Mason in 2022.
So they're arguing this is a pattern, a systemic problem, not an isolated incident.
That's the core of the argument. It wasn't a one-time error. It was a whole policy environment that failed to prioritize the safety of the child, and that allowed danger to just flourish in a place that was meant to be safe.
An environment of danger. That leads us right into the first major breakdown point, the security collapse. The city claims the conditions at the AC spiraled almost immediately after one single event, the withdrawal of the Alameda County Sheriff's Office deputies.
The timeline is absolutely central to the city's complaint. It really establishes a clear cause and effect relationship.
So when did they leave?
The documents show the ACSO deputies were withdrawn on February 15th, 2023. And what's really important here is that this happened even though the county had an existing memorandum of understanding, an MOU.
An MOU that required them to be there.
Yes, it required 247 security services from the sheriff's office at that facility. So the AC County basically broke its own agreement.
And did the local police, Hayward PD, get any warning about this?
They did. HPD was told in January 2023 that the deputies would be leaving. And during those meetings, HPD staff raised, serious concerns. They warned that the facility would be unsecured.
And they mentioned the hands-off policy too, right?
They did. They pointed out that the AC management had this really problematic hands-off policy about kids just leaving.
So why? Why would the Pouce County swap sworn police officers for private security? Especially with that MOU in place. Was it just about money?
The complaint doesn't explicitly state the motivation, but the result is crystal clear. The county replaced sworn sheriff's deputies with unsworn private security staff.
And that's where the legal distinction really matters.
It matters hugely. Sworn peace officers, like the deputies, they can enforce the law, they can make arrests, they can physically detain a juvenile who's committing a crime or trying to run. Private security can't do that.
So they're basically just observers.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
They're limited to observing, reporting, and using, some limited defensive measures.
So the second those deputies walked out, the facility lost any real ability to enforce its own rules.
Precisely. The only people who could bring a runaway child back or enforce the law were now the Hayward Police Department.
And you can see the impact immediately in the numbers. Since the deputies left in mid-February, calls to HPD just skyrocketed.
It wasn't a small spike either.
No. The city detailed a shopping 321 calls for service just for the AC between February 15th and June 7th.
That's just over 3 months. It's nonstop crisis.
And think about the drain on resources. Those 321 calls meant HPD spent more than 750 police officer hours on center-related incidents.
Hours that weren't being spent serving the rest of the city.
Exactly, all to manage a crisis at a county-run facility. And the nature of these calls, it's just alarming.
It really is. When you look at the HPD reports, you see why the city was so outraged. You have AWOL children absent without leave, about 250 calls, just for kids running away, some as young as 10 years old.
And it wasn't just runaways.
No, HPD was responding to calls for assaults on staff, on other kids.
Yeah.
Human trafficking, sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
They were getting 1 to 3 of these high-priority calls every single day.
There was even that fentanyl incident, right? Where a staff member overdosed?
Yes, a security staff member came into contact with a plastic bag of suspected fentanyl that a client brought in. He was found unresponsive and had to be revived by the fire department. It just shows how pervasive the danger was.
Here's where it gets really interesting, or I guess more disturbing. This wasn't just a security vacuum. The whole crisis was enabled by this policy of, institutional non-interference? Let's get into that hands-off policy.
Right. The hands-off policy, as the legal docs describe it, is maybe the most egregious detail. It allegedly mandated that staff could not physically intervene to stop clients over 10 years old from just walking out the front door.
So they could just go AWOL whenever they wanted.
At will. The staff's only option was to call the police after the child was already gone.
Which means these kids, who the county was legally supposed to protect, were choosing to leave a place with food and a bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the lawsuit argues this policy didn't just cause chaos inside. It made those clients incredibly vulnerable to sexual exploitation outside the facility.
And even if they came back after doing something criminal, the AC had to take them.
That's what staff allegedly told HPD. They couldn't turn them away or prevent them from returning. It essentially turned the AC into a revolving door for predators and victims alike.
And the private security company they hired, they saw this firsthand.
They did. The evidence from Diligent Security Group is some of the most damning. A representative from the company expressed frustration because his staff saw the active grooming and recruiting of 10 to 13-year-old girls.
By older kids at the facility?
Yes, by older, more sophisticated juveniles for the express purpose of human trafficking.
This just moves it from bad management into criminal negligence territory.
Absolutely. And the source material gives a horrifying anecdote that shows exactly how this system was being exploited.
Yeah.
HPD investigated a 12-year-old client.
Okay.
She was recruited by 2 older juveniles who were described as regulars at the AC.
So they knew the system. They knew nobody would stop them from leaving with her.
That is the chilling implication. The 2 older kids took the 12-year-old from the AC to a place called The Blade.
And what's at The Blade?
HPD identified it as a well-known prostitution area in Oakland. When the 12-year-old refused to engage in prostitution, she was assaulted.
Oh, my God.
She managed to run to a gas station and call 911. But here's the critical part, according to the source.
What's that?
When the AC staff reported her missing to HPD, they provided The Blade as the location in their report.
Wait, so they knew where she was being taken?
It suggests they had specific knowledge of where these vulnerable kids were going and for what purpose. It just completely undermines any claim that they were operating a secure, protective facility.
That's astonishing.
And HPD determined that predators were actively using the AC as a known recruiting ground, that pimps and traffickers knew about the location and knew it was full of vulnerable youth.
So this all leads up to the formal legal battle. The city documented this for months and finally had to act.
What's fascinating here is the lawsuit was the absolute last resort. Hayward tried everything to resolve this outside of court.
They reached out to the county
Multiple times. Urgent pleas, contacts, including a very detailed letter on May 26th from Mayor Mark Salinas directly to the Alameda County Board of Supervisors and the sheriff.
And they even offered to help find a solution, right?
They did. They offered to partner with the county to find a new location and a better operating model. They were really trying to fix it.
So the city gives them all this evidence, offers to help, begs them to fix the security, and the county's response was to just double down.
That's what's so baffling. The only official action the County Board of Supervisors took was a vote on June 6th, just days before the lawsuit was filed, to renew the contract of the current facility manager, West Coast Children's Clinic.
The same group Hayward was complaining about.
The very same. And they did it without competitive bidding.
Renewing that contract and doing it without even looking at other options, that sends a powerful signal of deliberate indifference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. From Hayward's perspective, that was the final straw. It showed the Camellic had no intention of making real changes. It's what pushed them into court.
So let's talk about the legal arguments. How did Hayward attack a facility that was, technically a social service?
They focused on public safety statutes. The first big claim was public nuisance.
Okay.
They argued the EC's operation was endangering the public health, safety, and welfare of the whole neighborhood because of the prostitution, the violent crime, all that's spilling out into the community.
And then they used the red light abatement law. That's a fascinating move. That's a law usually for shutting down brothels, right?
That's the powerful legal nugget right there. It's a highly aggressive move. By using that law, Hayward wasn't just saying the service was poor.
They were saying the facility itself had become a crime hotspot.
Exactly. A known, established location for recruiting for human trafficking, and that the county and the property owner knew it. It completely reframes the entire problem.
And what was the third major legal point?
Failure to perform mandatory duties. This one attacks the county's fundamental legal responsibility. The city argued the county failed its duty under state law to provide care, treatment, and guidance in the minor's best interest.
So this goes beyond policy and hits their core legal obligation.
Right. And they also included allegations that the county had been failing to make mandated reports on child abuse camera violations dating back to at least 2016.
So what does this all mean? What was Hayward asking the court to do right away? What was their prayer for relief?
The immediate goal was just to stop the crisis. They asked the court to order the county to cease or suspend operations until a safer plan was in place.
And get the deputies back.
Yes. Reassign those critical ACSO deputies to restore basic security, implement lawful procedures to stop the AWOL incidents, and ultimately relocate the AC to a more suitable location.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire lawsuit seems to rest on the idea that the county's own decisions, that hands-off policy and removing law enforcement, violated the Foster Youth Bill of Rights.
That's it, exactly. That Bill of Rights is codified in state law. It guarantees every foster youth the right to be free from physical, sexual, emotional, or other abuse and exploitation.
An empty promise in this case.
The city argued the county's actions turned it into one. The very system designed to remove kids from danger had created a new, organized danger.
And the numbers just don't lie about the scale of this failure. 321 emergency calls in less than 4 months. Over 750 police officer hours redirected. This wasn't just a breakdown of care, it was a crisis of governance.
And it forces you to ask a really tough question. The source material is clear that the AC was supposed to be a safe setting for kids removed from abuse or neglect.
The safest place.
But if the lawsuit is correct, and the facility itself became a high-risk recruiting ground for human trafficking, a known spot for exploiters, then where does the system put children who were too vulnerable, even for the systems designed to protect them?
A deeply unsettling question.
It really raises profound questions about the ultimate responsibility and capacity of our social services, especially when they're accused of, well, deliberate indifference to the crisis unfolding right in front of them.
An essential question to consider as this legal battle continues to